Hey there nation, welcome to the show. We help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander CheapSkate, and it's another edition of the 9th Saga. This is battle report number 14. This is a 5,000 point battle fought between yours truly with my House Lainel, the Silvery host of Caledor army, my Highborn's army, versus Lady Domina of House Daechir, the Golden Reavers of Skyros, with her Dread Elves army. So that's right, this is a 5,000 point grudge match fought between the Dread Elves as well as the Highborn Elves. We get to see some really cool action going back and forth and seeing what kind of shenanigans we can get up to with our battle reports on this one. I've also changed up my list a little bit too, so we're going to get a little bit more detailed about what's making up my armor for this one because I re-examined some of the rules, especially with the freeze going on. So I had some time to finally, get my head wrapped around some of the rules for my army and save the Lady Dominas. So yeah, let's go on to the army list for this one. Alright, so let's talk about my army. House Lainel, the Silvery host of Caledor, is my 5,000 point Highborn Elves army. And for my characters, we have Caradrian Lainel, the Anointed One. He is my commander, so I decided to drop him from a prince down to a commander to save some points. I decided to give him the Highborn of Flame Honor as well as Dragonforge armor and shield, so that way he gets a buff up to his armor as well as to his ward save, and using the Spear of Blazing Dawn because that magic item is just really, really powerful. Next, I've added another commander in my army. His name is Untitled Lainel, and he's the Lore Master of Hoeth, and he has the Master of Kenriag Tower honor. And so the reason why I did that is because I looked at some of the spells that guy can pack when he takes that honor, and one of the spells he can take is from Druidism, and Druidism is kind of like the old life lore, and it's got some pretty powerful buffs from armies, so I decided to put that on him as well. I also equipped the Dragonforge armor as well as Great Weapon to take care of sword ability that he has. I also put the Book of Melodies on him as well, and he's taking the path of Druidism for his magic path. And I also have Captain Tanis Lainel of the Dawn Patrol. He's my last commander. He's my fleet commander with a fleet commander honor. He's got the ambush upgrade. He's my battle cinder bearer with halberd, longbow, heavy armor, as well as shield, and he's carrying the Cloak of Stars to give his units some buffs against magic. For my core choices, these are pretty much relatively the same. We have the Silverhelm Knights, which are 10 Highborn Lancers with full command, the Lothar Sea Guard, 20 Sea Guards with full command, and I've also upgraded them with Ambushers rules. And we also have the Illyrian Reavers, which are 5 Lean Reavers with bows. For my special choices, we have the Sword Masters of Hoeth, which are 19 Sword Masters with full command and the Banner of Becalming, the Phoenix Guards, which are 24 Flame Wardens with full command, the White Lions of Trace with 15 Lion Guards with full command, Skirmishers, as well as the Flaming Standard, which is kind of good because that unit's really good at destroying monsters, and I'm facing several monsters in this one. And then rounding up my entire army, we have my Peacekeepers, which are the Reigns of Caledor, which are 3 Sea Guard Reapers, and that would pretty much make up my army for this one. Alright, so let's talk about Lady Domina's army. Her army is called House Daechir, the Golden Reavers of Skyros. It is a 5,000 point Dread Elves army. For her characters, she has Beast Lord Midas Daechir, the Golden Lord of Skyros. He is a captain with a Beastmaster upgrade. He's also packing the armor of Fortune Kingslayer. He's also packing a shield for his armor. And he's also riding Calibos, which is his Manticore. Next comes Sister Sinner, the Oracle of Kos. She's an Oracle with a Master Wizard upgrade. She's got 4 spells. She's bringing the Ring of Shadows and the Book of Arcane Power with the Path of Cosmology. And just to tell you right now, that's a very powerful kid out right there. Next comes Captain Lodi Daechir, the Golden Sun. He's a captain with a fleet command upgrade. He has a battle center bearer upgrade, heavy armor and halberd. He's packing the hardened shield and the banner of Gardeco. So that is another powerful build, and we'll talk about why here in a second. And then we have finally his last character, Mistress Eridani, the consort of Dagon. She is a cult priestess of Yema. She has light armor, shield, and gladiator weapons. She's also packing the Midnight Cloak, and she's riding Erebos, the Pegasus. For her core choices, she has the Sea-Sown Sorrows, which are 40 Dread Legionaries with full command and equipping spears, the Morning Dawn, which are 20 Repeater Auxiliaries with full command and the Flaming Standard, and the Shadowrunners, which are 5 Dark Riders with shields as well as Repeater Crossbows. For her special choices, she has the Shacklemore Seers, which are 5 Dark Acolytes of the Champion. They're also being equipped with the Cult of Yema, and they also have a Breath of Corruption and the Grave Call spells. For her Destroyer, she has the Storms of Skyros, which are 2 Dread Reapers, and for the Menagerie, she has Virzil the Broken, which is a Hydra, and Rathric the Maw, which is a Kraken. And that'll make up her 5,000 point army for this one. Alright, that takes us directly to deployment. As you can see, we're fighting on a 4x6 table. I have occupied the near side of the table. My opponent, Lady Domina, has taken on the far side of the table. And as you can see there, we pretty much laid ourselves out in kind of right straight across from each other, really. We both kind of went with kind of a denied flank kind of aspect. We both decided to ignore the left-hand flank because a lot of buildings and farms over there on the left-hand side as well as forests. As you can see there, we have cavalry on both of our sides, and she has light cavalry against her sides. And then we have our main lines right down the center. So let's go to the individual deployment areas and talk about where everything's located at. Alright, so let's talk about deployment here on the left-hand flank. As you can see, start from the left and working all the way to my right is my whole main battle line. On the left-hand side, we have the Silver Helms, which are my 10 Highborn Lancers. I have them kind of anchored there to secure my flank. As you can see in the top left-hand corner, you can see my opponent's Dark Alkalites kind of like chilling out right there next to that force, so I have to keep those gears, my knights there to kind of protect my left-hand flank. To the right of them is my White Lions, which are my 15 Lion Guards with skirmishers. Right next to them to the right-hand side, we also have my Phoenix Guard, which are my 23 Flame Wardens with my general located in that unit as well. He's the guy with the red dragon crest on his helmet. And on the right hand side of them, we also have my 20 Sword Masters. Those are my Sword Masters of Hoeth. And we also have my commander with the Master of Kenrag tower upgrade up there as well. He's my level 4 wizard with the Path of Druidism. And then right in front of my Sword Masters, we have my 5 Illyrian Reavers, the Line Reavers. Those guys are kind of deployed up there, already vanguard a little bit to protect my right hand flank from my opponent's light cavalry. So that makes up the left hand flank as well as pretty much the center for my army on this one. And making up my center, as you can see on the right hand side there, we have that tower. All three of my Volthors are located there. My 3 Seaguard Reapers, those are the Reigns of Caledor. And as you can see there as well, on the very far right hand side, you can see the flanking unit of Dark Raiders that are planning on coming in and trying to sweep on my right hand flank as well. And I set my Lion Reavers to kind of deal with those guys as well. And then deployed off the board are my 20 Lothern Sea Guards, my Sea Guard unit that's ambushing. Does also have my commander with my Battle Center Bear looking at that unit as well. Pretty much the plan is to get my opponent a pincer attack, move my forces up to kind of occupy the center of the board where the forests are located at, have my opponent charge at me, engage him in close combat in the center, and then have my Sea Guards kind of deploy right behind him, but they using the ambushes rule and then kind of get him in a pincer attack. That is pretty much the plan I'm going with. The only problem is I also kind of taking a gamble on this because my Battle Center Bear is located within my Sea Guard unit, so he might not be on the board when I need him to in order to do rerolls, but that's just the risk I'm willing to take on this part. So yeah, that makes the deployment for this side. Alright, with Highborn Elf deployment out of the way, let's go and talk about the Dread Elves for Lady Dominas. Starting from her left flank, working from the left all the way to the right, you can see that she has her Shacklemore Seers. Those are 5 Dark Alkalites. They've already kind of vanguard up to where that force is located at, already putting pressure on the left-hand flank of my army. And then right there at the top of the hill there, you have a bunch of her units located there. Starting in the back, you have Beast Lord Midas Daechir. That's her Beast Lord Captain running a Manticore in the back there. In front of him, we have Virza the Broke on the left, which is her War Hydra, as well as Rafik the Maw, which is her Kraken on the right hand side. And then right behind them on top of that hill, you also have the Storms of Skyros. Those are the 2 Dread Reapers. A lot of their crew members located there as well. And on the right hand of them, starting from the hill and kind of going down to the left hand to the flatter areas, those are 20 repeater auxiliaries, I believe they're called. Yeah, 20 repeater auxiliaries. Those are the Morning Dawn, located there with also their flaming standard as well. So that makes up the left-hand flank and kind of the semi-center location of her army for this battle report. And then right here, make up her center as well as her right-hand flank. You have that huge brick of the Sea Stone Sorrows. That's that massively huge unit of Dread Spears, Dread Legionaries, located within that unit, as well as her Oracle, her level 4 Oracle, as well as her Battle Center Bear, Captain Lodi Daechir as well. And that unit is exceptionally deadly, and here's why it's so deadly. First of all, they're Dread Spears, and they're all the Dread Spearmen, so they're all equipped with spears, so that gives them an AP of 1, as well as fighting extra ranks as well. If they get charged and then in the Horde formation, that means the entire unit gets to attack with close combat attack all the way to the very back rank. Not only are they equipped with those items, but they also have the Ring of Shadows located on them as well, which means they're in soft cover, which means if I want to hit them in close combat or shoot at them, I'm suffering a -1 to hit. If those guys are in cover, we're suffering a -2 to hit as well, so that's pretty rough for that situation. On top of that, they also have the Banner of Gardagos with them as well, and that gives them a +1 through their ability to wound, which basically makes this unit strength 4 guys when they're being charged at as well. And then for the cheap cost, you're paying for them for core cost with -1 or 2 to hit against them in case they're behind cover, and you got a recipe for absolute disaster with these guys. These guys are mincemeat. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about here when we get to the actual battle report. Alright, anyways, continue on. On the very far right hand side between the hut as well as the pig shed, you can see the makings out of Mistress Iridani, the consort Dagon. That's her cult priestess of Yema. She's located back there as well. And on the very far right hand side, you have the Shadowrunners, which are 5 Dark Raiders, and those guys are kind of located there to kind of assault my right hand flank and get to my war machines. So that makes up her center as well as right flank deployment for this battle report. Alright, that takes us to the top of turn number 1 after movement phase for the Highborn Elves. And as you can see in this photo, pretty much everything that can move pretty much does move in this photo. Starting from the left all the way up to the right hand side. As you see, I kind of moved up my 7 home knights, moved up to 9 inches to kind of get them in a situation to kind of protect the flank of my whole main line against those dark alkalites on the left hand side. At the same time, I realized that those monsters and and Lady Dominas units can actually charge across the battlefield and start hitting to me, so I decided to take up defensive positions along the forest there as well, so that way both of us will lose steadfast if that's the case as well, so that way we can both defend and fight equally on that same kind of ground where it just becomes skill on skill combat pretty much at that point. As you can see, I also defend my left-hand flank of my Phoenix Guard with my White Lions against the monsters, and I'm just trying to bait those monsters to charge into that White Lions unit because those guys do double damage against monsters, and I think it'd be kind of cool just to chop those guys down. As you can see there, I have my Phoenix Guard as well as my Sword Masters occupying this forest for defensive positions. On the right-hand side, I decided to charge for my Illyrian Reavers into the left-hand flank of those Dark Riders to get rid of those guys as quickly as possible. The only risk I face is if I don't destroy this unit or basically drive it off, my left-hand flank from my Illyrian Reavers is exposed to Mistress Iridani as well as Erebos the Pegasus, and that could cause problems for me later on as well. And as you can see here, also my Sea Guard haven't deployed yet because they don't deploy until game turn number 2. So yeah, that pretty much makes the point for the movement for this side. Alright, during the magic phase, since I brought a spellcaster with me who's got the path of druidism, I decided to, use those spells to my benefit. And actually, my magic phase actually went quite powerful for me on this one. It was kind of nice. The very first spell that I cast was Entwining Roots. That's the spell that basically is a hex against your opponent, and it gives you a -1 to your weapon skill as well as your ballistic skill. Originally, I tried to cast the Oaken Throne first in order to get the more powerful version of this spell, but Lady Domina wasn't having it, and with her rank higher than me, with her caster being a master wizard, as well as the Book of Arcane Power, she receives like a 3-up for her abilities for both casting as well as dispelling. Now I do have the Book of Melodies that can help me out cast out spells, but I just couldn't keep up with her. She was actually kind of tough on that part, so she stopped that spell from going through. At the same time, however, those repeater auxiliaries have a -1 to their ballistic skill as well as weapon skill, which is going to kind of save some of my guys when it comes to the shooting phase. The very last 2 spells I managed to cast off during this time period as well was the Spirits of the Wood spell. I put that on my skirmishers from my White Lions. The reason why is because the skirmishers automatically become stubborn when they're inside the forest. Plus they have the Forest Strider rule already because they're White Lions. They're Lion Guards. So that kind of gives them bonus as well. Plus those monsters decided to charge into me when I'm in those woods. They have to take D6 dangerous terrain tests, and that's just always a good idea no matter who you are. And then of course on the right hand side there I also cast Stone Skin to get plus toughness for my Sword Masters, because of all the units that are located there, those guys are the ones that are most vulnerable to long range fire at this point. So that makes the magic phase for this one. In the shooting phase, I opened up with all 3 of my storms, the Reigns over Caledor, which are my 3 Sea Guard Reapers, and I just opened up with multiple shots on that unit of repeater auxiliaries and managed to kill 8 of those guys and cut that unit in half. My goal was, hopefully, what my plan was actually was to cause enough wounds for these guys to cause a panic test. That way his Dread Reapers have to take a panic test as well and not be able to fire. And if I was really, really lucky, cause his other unit of Spearmen to also fail panic test as well. Unfortunately for me though, they are Dread Elves. They have high leadership. They're highly disciplined just like my guys are, so they're not fleeing for anything. So at least I killed about a good chunk of that unit though, so there is a plus side for that. And in the close combat phase, we had no problem whatsoever driving off those Dark Raiders. It was easy to get rid of those Shadow Runners. Basically what happens is I killed 2 members of that unit off, so they were dead. Combined with the 2 wounds, my charge, as well as my flank when I hit them, they basically lost by 4. They had to roll under 4 in order to stay. They failed that roll when they were out of range of the Battlestar Barrier as well, so they decided to flee right off the board. I decided to restrain because I wasn't going to have my guys right off the board, and instead I combat reformed them there to kind of get straighted forward, so that way they can kind of take care of Mistress Iridani if she decides to make a move on the right hand flank, and so that makes a combat. And with combat done, we go directly to the top of bottom of turn number 1 for the Dread Elves. So this is a picture of bottom of turn number 1 after movement for the Dread Elves, and as you can see in this photo, Lady Domina decided to move up most of her troops as quickly as she possibly could. She declared several charges in order to get her troops kind of going. First of all, starting from the left and to the right, from the left hand side, as you can see, she kind of marched her fast cap for Dark Acolytes and get it up in such a way that they're facing the flank of my Knights. That way it puts my Knights completely out of position on that part, which is a scary place for those guys to be because they can start casting some pretty powerful magic and some bad things start coming my way. Unfortunately for my opponent, Lady Domina was unable to charge with her Manticore or the Beast Lord. She failed her charge roll, so she kind of ended right there in the forest and then kind of like right behind it, so she was perfectly fine there. And also, if you can see there, we have both Rathric the Maul as well as Rizzo the Broken. They successfully charged through the forest and kind of impacted my White Lions. They managed to take a handful of wounds from dangerous terrain tests, which was a plus, which was kind of hoping for in the process. So now in the next combat, I can just chop those guys in pieces as well. As you can see there on the right-hand side, the Sea Stone Sorrows decided to move up a little bit closer to my main lines and kind of get themselves set up for a charge next turn, or to bait me for a charge. And on the right-hand side, at the very far right-hand side, we have Mistress Iridani, as well as Erebos the Pegasus, charge directly to the right-hand flank of my Illyrian Reavers. Alright, here's a close-up of the left-hand side of the board. As you can see, we have the Dark Acolytes setting themselves up for a flank charge into the flank of my Silverhelm Knights. At the same time, you can see Wrathwick the Maw and Virisol the Pro can charge directly into my white lines, and that's going to be kind of an interesting combat to see how that works out. You can also make out our general kind of tucked up behind that forest there in front of my Silverhelm Knights. And here's a close of what's occurring here in the center lines. As you can see your Sea Stone Sorrows kind of moving up a little bit closer towards that forest in order to get themselves in position where they can intercept my charging units of Phoenix Guard, as well as Solar Masters of Hoeth. On the right-hand side, you can see that her Cult Priestess of Yema has charged the right-hand flank of my Aligned Reavers. And that combat I'm kind of worried about because those Cult Priestesses and Priests are really deadly in close combat, and I have a sneaking suspicion that my Reavers are going to be destroyed. If that's the case, that's really bad for the rest of my units because then they can just kind of charge me from the flanks. Alright, flanks on this one really have to hold out because if those monsters collapse my White Lions, and if that Priestess collapses my Elite Reavers, and he charges this Spearman, I'm going to be stuck in a full envelopment. That's just going to be really bad news for my entire army. So yeah, that makes up the movement phase for the Dread Elves in this one. During the magic phase, Lady Dominas just absolutely dominated that magic phase. It was ridiculous the amount of power that she received, and the spell she was getting off at the same time. As you can see in this picture here on the left-hand side, she destroys my unit of Silverhelm Knights. She unleashes with that spell, the Grave Calls, and manages to wipe out 6 of my Silverhelm Knights. It was a miracle that those guys didn't break from the panic, from the beating they received from that magical spell. And so now my left-hand flank is really kind of collapsing. All she has to do now is either charge in her Dark Acolytes or charge in her Manticore riding Beast Lord, and it'll be all over for my Silverhelm Knights on that part. Also, at the same time, she also cast some buffs off as well for her 2 monsters. She gave Virisol the Broken +1 strength, as well as gave Wrathwick the Maw an extra d6 from the roll when it comes to his pursuit rolls, in case if he breaks me and I decide to flee for this part. So Lady Dominas is already setting up the collapse of my left-hand flank, which is kind of scary because I think that's what she's trying to go for. The shooting phase for Lady Dominas was pretty much a wash. She tried to open it with her Dread Reapers as well as her Repeater Auxiliaries and try to shoot at my Phoenix Guard, but because of the distance between them, as well as the -1 ballistic skill for her Repeater Auxiliaries, as well as the fact that they're inside of a forest and that the other side of the ward save, they only managed to click off one of my Phoenix Guards. So that part was kind of cool. I thought that was kind of neat as well. She decided to focus on those guys because they're the ones she could actually focus on, and without that she could get line of sight on and hit, and that's what she went for on that part. So yeah, that makes up the shooting phase on this one. And with shooting done, we go directly to the combat phase. Alright, let me take this time to actually apologize to my audience for the epic failure you're about to receive here in a second. During the combat phase, we actually did fight some of the combat in the combat phase. We actually only fought 1 combat. However, between Lady Domina and I, we totally did not do the fight between our my Light Lions, as well as our 2 monsters. I'm not sure what happened. We just forgot to do the battle, actually. We just forgot to do the fight between those 2 when it came down to the combat phase. We only worked on the combat between Mistress Iridani versus my Reaver Knights. And by the time we figured out that we forgot to do that battle, it was actually the next combat phase in the next turn, and we decided to just kind of roll with it and just keep on going. Now, to our credit, my friends and I, we were playing kind of late. It was like around 11:30 at night we were doing this because we just had dinner and we had, been chilling out before and then decided to play a game real quick. So that might have been the reason why we forgot to do it, but once again, I apologize to you guys. Sometimes these kind of things happen. So with all apologies out of the way, we continue on with the combat phase. As you can see in this picture on the right-hand side, the fight between Mistress Iridani against my flank of my Illyrian Reavers did not go very well at all. I managed to lose 2 of my Illyrian Reavers in the matter of the combat. So with the 2 wounds she inflicted with the charge, as well as the flank attack, she actually won by 4, and I rolled snake eyes on that. I couldn't believe the fact that I actually just kind of held out. I rolled her 4 on that, so my guys are just kind of sticking out at that point, which is actually kind of awesome as far as I'm concerned. So luckily for me, my right-hand flank is held down and is secured. And once again, we apologize for messing up the battle on the left-hand flank between the monsters, as well as my Lion Guard. Alright, so now it takes us to the top of turn number 2 after move phase for the Highborn Elves. As you can see in this photo, I just started committing some V forces at this point. I decided on my left-hand flank to turn my Knights around in order to deal with those Doomfire Warlocks in case of, sorry, not Doomfire Warlocks, those Dark Acolytes in case they decide to charge forward into the flank of my White Lions. So I turned my Silverhelm Knights in order to kind of deal with those guys as well. Also, if you look in the right hand side with the photo where my units are looking inside the forest, I decided just to break ranks and just to go for it at this point. I saw that unit of Dread Spears. I figured this is the time to do it, so then I charged my 2 units forward, both my Phoenix Guard as well as my Swordmaster of Hoth, and I was basically like, bring it. I was not aware of what kind of doom I was bringing down on myself when I was facing that unit, but you know, at the time, it seemed like a good idea. And as you also see in the back of the board there, my opponent's table edge, I deployed my my ambushing unit of Sea Guards, and they also kind of wheeled a little bit to get themselves in that angle such a way they could open fire at either the Repeater Auxiliaries or fire at their Repeater Dread Reapers as well. And that's where they're located at there. So that pretty much makes the move phase for this one. Here's a close-up of my Silverhelms, kind of adjusting position in order to deal with those Dark Acolytes and trying to keep them away from charging into the flank of my White Lions. My hope here is to actually stop those Dark Acolytes from getting to the flank of my White Lions, as at the same time kind of try to lure my opponent's Beastmaster to kind of charge on the flank of my Silverhelms as well, so that way he's out of position from charging to the flank of my White Lions also. So that's pretty much the idea I'm going with against Late Dominant on this one. And here's a close-up of my center lines. As you can see in this photo, I just committed both my Phoenix Guard as well as my Swordmaster of Hoth. We charge directly to that Sea-Sown Sorrows and try to deal with those Dread Spears directly. I just want to see what my boys can do when they're both fighting the same unit this time. I learned the last time not to spread out my forces too much and have them engage in close combat with one-on-one, so I decided 2 units against 1 should do a pretty good job on that part. At the same time, when I rolled to see if my ambushes arrived, I rolled a 5 on that part, so because of that, my Sea Guard popped up in the back. During the move phase, I kind of wheeled them a little bit so that way they could start shooting at the Repeater Auxiliaries during my shooting phase, but at the same time I'll also build them in such a way that if I can hold out for this round, for my next turn, turn number 3, I could charge in my Sea Guard and actually envelop those, that unit of Dread Spears in a double envelopment. The idea is to have them shoot apart those Dread Reapers, shoot apart those Repeater Auxiliaries, charge into the rear of those Dread Spears, Dread Legionaries, and then that'll be all done, and you know, I can just slaughter that unit entirely. So that's pretty much what I was going for the movement on this side. Alright, during the magic phase, my lore master, Titus Lainel, he went to go cast Flesh Stone Skin off onto my unit of White Lions because I want to get those guys beefed up in order to do that combat. And this is when we realized that we forgot to do the combat between these 3 units. It was when I was doing the magic phase, and we were like, oh man, we forgot to do the combat phase. But at that point, we had already moved all our units around. It was kind of too late to go back, so we decided to just kind of go forward and just keep going with it. So once again, we were like, oh man, we couldn't believe we made that error because this could actually change the game on the, if you think about it at that one point. So anyway, so I gave my unit of White Lions a +2 toughness against those monsters for the next combat going up, and kind of give them a little bit more of a fighting chance against those huge monsters in the next round. After I got done casting Stone Skin, I also cast my Summer Growth spell, and I managed to get that off. However, when I did cast that spell, however, I did miscast on that part.
Klaatu! Veranda!
However, there was a kind of a benefit to doing it, even though I did get a miscast on that part. I managed to bring back 5 of my original, five of my Silverhelm Knights for that unit. So I basically brought them back almost at full strength, so that was a plus on that part. I did have to roll in the miscast chart. When I rolled in the miscast chart, I basically got the spell, the miscast, that basically means that you can't cast that spell that you just cast the previous turn. I think it's called, oh, what is it called? Yeah, I rolled like a 12, and that's where basically you lose the spell that you just cast, which in that case was my Summer Growth spell. So because I wasn't able to cast anymore, I just forgot it for the rest of the game, and you know, small price to pay, so I'll take what I can get. With Magic Phase, we went directly to the shooting phase, and during the shooting phase, we unleashed the pain on that part. As you can see in this photo, those Dark Acolytes are gone, and the reason why is because I took all 3 of my Sea Guard Reapers, made them fire multiple shots, and gave them 6 shots apiece for a grand total of 18 strength, 4 shots with armor piercing. We opened fire on that unit of Dark Acolytes, and between all the shots that I made, all the wounds I made, they were unable to ward save all of them, so those guys got shot to pieces to the last man and got rid of them. So that's what you get for wasting my Silverhelm Knights, as far as I'm concerned. So that makes up shooting on this side of the board. At the same time, my massive unit of 20 Sea Guards opened up with their longbows, with also my Battle Standard Bearer as well, so 21 shots in total. We opened up on the remainder of those Repeater Auxiliaries, and we slaughtered those guys to a man. So it's kind of neat. You know, it's kind of nice because usually I'm used to fighting against enemies that have like a toughness of 4, so I'm used to having to roll 5s and 6s in order to wound all my opponents. So it's so kind of nice just to be able to roll a 4, you know what I'm saying? It's just kind of nice. Nice change of pace. Anyway, we managed to slaughter those guys the last man. That part was kind of cool as well. During the close combat phase, we absolutely curb stomped those two monsters. We just destroyed those guys like it was nobody's business on that part. I didn't lose a single one of my white lines in the process of that. We had these guys basically attacking units of 5 against each of the monsters in turn one at a time. With their multiple, because they have such a high initiative roll, they get to attack against my opponent. Plus, plus the fact that they got such high toughness, anyways, it wasn't going to cause much damage. But really, we killed those monsters right before they got a chance to strike. Their initiative was so low, they never got a chance to take off anything as well. So we managed to kill both Reavers of the Broken and Wrecked them all, destroyed those guys, and that's pretty awesome because usually my white lines, especially when they had that flaming standard, no regen saves for Reavers of the Broken. But it was kind of nice because like my white lines in the past have not done very well, but this time they just did exceptionally well in this battle. So look at them stand there like the bosses they are. It was pretty awesome in that part. However, combat between my Phoenix Guard as well as my Swordmasters of Hoth against that unit of Dread Spears did not go according to plan whatsoever. In fact, the reason why I'm showing you this photo, if you looked in the back at those two sets of purple dice, those are Lady Dominas dice. I'm showing that to show those pips to show you by how much we lost by for both those units when it came to close combat. So as you can see there, we basically divided the combat between two halves of it. So half of the Dread Legionaries fought my Phoenix Guard, the other half fought my Swordmasters of Hoth. The Sorceress as well as the Champion were the characters in the fight on the left, and her battle center bearer was the fighter on the right hand side. So as you can see in this photo, she managed to cut out, how many did she manage to kill? She killed 8 of my Phoenix Guard by the time she got done. In exchange, my Phoenix Guard would only manage to kill 5 of her Dread Spears in the process of doing so. At the same time, she cut down half of my Swordmasters of Hoth, and I managed to kill 10 members of the Dread Spears as well. Combined with the combat res, with the ranks that we had left over, plus with charges, as well as those concluding standards and battle standards, on the left-hand side, Lady Domina actually beat my Phoenix Guard by 2 on that part, and on the right-hand side, she managed to beat my Swordmasters of Hoth by 3. And the reason why that was the case is because I was suffering -1 to hit, because these guys were all in soft cover because that shadowy ring of darkness, whatever. Plus, the Spearmen also got a +1 to hit back as well. Plus, since I charged the Spearmen, I had to fight them with an extra rank with Horde formation, so I'm fighting all 40 Dread Spears. And not only that, the Spears have armor piercing as well, and the only thing I have on these guys are heavy armor. So because I have to roll 6s for these guys to survive, the armor save, and for my Swordmasters of Hoth as well as my Phoenix Guard, and my Phoenix Guard, I rolled horribly for my ward saves. It was just ridiculous how many like 1s and 2s I was rolling. You'd think rolling 4 would be awesome, but it was not the case. She totally schooled me in this combat. For 1 unit of core going against 2 special choices from the Highborn Elves and be able to stand with that with the combat cutout that she brought out, man. Dread Legionaries are no joke, especially when you throw this kit on them. It was extremely deadly. I totally underestimated that combat. It was only by the grace of the dice gods I managed to stick it out because we didn't break. We just kind of stood where we were. And I gotta tell you, it was kind of hair-raising because my battle center bearer was not within range, so I had to be very, very careful with my dice rolling. Oh my god, that combat was just ridiculous. Absolutely just a huge bloodfest. The dark gods would be pleased. Combat between my Eileen Reavers and against the Priestess Ayema went about as well as you could expect, unfortunately. So because of that, it was absolutely brutal. She killed like another one of my Illyrian Reavers. I had a break on that part. I rolled horribly to escape. I rolled like a 3, I think is what it was, between my dice when you totaled it up. She rolled like a 12. So because of that, she ran down my Illyrian Reavers like it was nobody's business. However, there was a problem. She did run into the forest at the same time, and she also lost 2 wounds from dangerous terrain tests on that part. Now, I'm going to talk about this a little bit later on when it comes to the after-action report, but the wounds, when it comes to like characters running monstrous beasts and running monsters with the wounds don't seem very legit to me. It's like, okay, so like for example, Mistress Iridani, she's got 3 wounds as a cult priest of Yema, right? So when she rides a Dark Pegasus also carries 3 wounds as well. So here's the question, okay? When you use the rolls for monsters, what happens is that you take the highest number of wounds for both parts, and that's the wound you use. In which case, this would be 3 wounds total. So Mistress Iridani only has 1 more wound left. So here's a question I want to know: what happens to the excess wounds all of a sudden? Like just because Mistress Iridani has 3 wounds, and she decides to ride a Dark Pegasus, she's like what? Only has 1 wound now? Or like vice versa, because a Dark Pegasus normally has 3 wounds and a Mistress decides to ride her, they only have 3 wounds between the 2 of them now. Whatever happened to the other 3 wounds? Like, does it just evaporate? I mean, what happens? And that's something I don't care about when it comes to the 9th Age in terms of like characters riding monsters, but we'll talk about that a little bit more in the after action report. Alright, with combat out of the way, we go directly to the top of auto turn number 2 for the Dread Elves after the movement phase. You can see in this photo a couple of things happen. First of all, Lady Dominas decided to charge her Beast Lord, Lord Midas Daechir, as well as Caledor, into my Silvery Knights. Because that thing causes terror, I had to take a panic test on that part. I failed my panic test. As you can see in that photo, my Silvery Knights ran like 6 inches away from the original starting position. At the same time, Lady Dominas decided to redirect her charge. She did that successfully, and she charged directly to my White Lions as well. So now those guys are engaged in close combat. At the same time, she also took her character Mistress Iridani and had her charge into the back of my Phoenix Guard as well. So luckily for me though, she's carrying 2 wounds. She only has 1 wound left over, so that could kind of work out in my favor. But at the same time though, the way I've been rolling my dice, I mean, who really knows at this point? So that pretty much makes a movement on this one. So here's a close-up of Lady Domina's Beast Lord on Manticore charging directly to my White Lions. As you can see, my Silver Helms are running for the hills trying to save their lives because that thing causes terror. So there's a close-up of that photo. And here's a close-up of Mistress Iridani charging to the back rings of my Phoenix Guard. So with close-ups over, we go directly to the magic phase for Dark Dread Elves, turn number 2. During the magic phase, Sister Sinner, Lady Domina's spellcaster magic, you have 2 different spells that kind of help buff up hex my opponent, my armies. That way she can kind of buff up her own troops. First of all, she casts the spell that gives -1 leadership to my Phoenix Guard, so in case I break and I'm out of range of my Battle Standard Bearer, it will cause a whole kind of problems for my Phoenix Guard. At the same time, she also casts a spell onto my Sea Guard at the top there, which basically kind of slows them down. When I charge, I have to roll an additional d6, and I lose that many inches for my charge roll as well, so she's trying to stop my guys from getting her stuck into a pincer attack. So pretty smart shenanigans when it comes to that part. So with magic phase over, we go directly to the shooting phase for the Dread Elves. And in the shooting phase, she basically brought the pain. Lady Domina took her 2 Dread Reapers, had them do multiple shots against my Sea Guard, and managed to kill 10 of those guys. She cut that unit directly in half, and that was absolutely horrible. The only reason why my guys actually stuck it out is because my Battle Standard Bearer was lucky with them, and he basically rolled from the had to do a reroll to keep those guys from fleeing off the table edge. So that was absolutely brutal. So now my entire plan of catching that unit of Dread Spears, that Dread Legionaries, and a pincer attack, that might not be working out too well for me in my favor. So yeah, pretty rough on that part. Absolutely rough. So with shooting done, we go directly to the close combat phase. And in the close combat phase, close combat was actually very, very brutal for Lady Domina, as you can see in this picture. One of the problems that she was running into, of course, was that my guys still had +2 toughness on my White Lions, so she was unable to wound any of my guys with her Beast Lord right in the Manticore. Now, because my White Lions have a higher initiative score than the Manticore, we also struck back. We managed to curb stomp that guy and managed to kill him, which, of course, brings me back to my first point. We were talking about the way the wounds work for monsters. I mean, technically speaking, her captain has 3 wounds and her Manticore has 4 wounds. So, you know, what happens to the other 3 wounds? You know, that's the only thing. Like, only having 4 wounds between the 2 of you, it just doesn't seem. I don't know. It just seems like it's too easy to kill characters on monsters in the 9th age, and that's the kind of thing that kind of rose me the wrong way about this battle report. But like I said before, we'll talk about that directly in the next in the after action report. So yeah, needless to say, her Manticore as well as her Beast Lord is now dead. At the same time, if you look on the right hand side as well, the Mistress Iridani was also killed as well. My back-breaking Phoenix Guard managed to kill her off because she only had 1 wound left on her anyway, so managed to kill her as well. So that part was kind of cool. As you can see in this close-up, the close combat between the Dread Spears as well as my Phoenix Guard as my Swordmaster's Hope was absolutely brutal in that part. What happened was we engaged, as you can see in this photo, my Lore Master, which was my Master of Kenrag, the Kenrag Tower, he got issued a challenge by her Battle Standard Bearer. I decided to accept that challenge as well. Didn't manage to wound anything on her Battle Standard Bearer. Didn't manage to cause any wounds. Her Battle Standard Bearer caused 1 wound onto my my Lore Master, so that part was kind of rough on that part. So, you know, you gotta just kind of take it as you go. On the left hand side, however, the combat to my Phoenix Guard and the Dread Spears actually reduced that unit down to its very last rank on that part as well. So this unit is almost DRT, so that part's actually kind of nice, and it looks like we're looking victory here in the win here in a little bit. And with that being said, that takes us directly to the end of the game. Miss Lady Domina takes a look at the board. She realizes I'm going to charge the flanker for Dread Spears and my White Lions. My Silver Helms are going to rally here in a little bit as well. Plus, I can shoot at her Dread Reapers with either my Sea Guard or with my Seaguard Reapers as well. She decides to call the game at this point, just decides to surrender at this part. As you can see from this photo, there's a lot of dead Dread Elves and a lot of Highborn Elves still left on the table as well. I only really lost one unit out of this battle report. That was my Illyrian Reavers on that part. But like I said before, we're going to talk about some of the circumstances that allowed me to win this battle. We're going to talk about this in the after action report. So for now, this game is now over.
Sure, I could have stayed in the past. Could have even been king. But in my own way, I am king. Hail to the king, baby.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, now it's time for the after action report. This is the part of the show we talk about what went well, what went poorly, and what we can learn for the next time that we do battle. This is the after action report for battle report number 14 of the 9th Saga. It was fought between myself, Commander CheapSkate, as well as Lady Domina for our Highborn Elves, as well as Dread Elves. So let's talk about our losses real quick. First of all, I lost only one unit, which is the Illyrian Reavers, whereas Lady Domina, on the other hand, she lost Beast Lord Midas Daechir, Mistress Iridani, the Morning Dawn, the Shadowrunners, the Shacklemore Seers, Virus of the Broken, as well as Rathric the Maul. So let's go and talk about some of the things that kind of affected this. Like we said before when I was talking about the battle report earlier, characters running monsters needs to be looked at again by the rules creators for the 9th Age, in my opinion. And the reason why is for a couple of things. First of all, they're too easy to kill. I mean, like I said before, what happens to the excess wounds? Let's say, for example, you have a Lord character who's like has 4 wounds. He decides to ride a dragon that has 6 wounds, right? And all of a sudden, when they have 6 wounds, so between the two of them, they actually have additional 2 extra wounds. What happens to the other parts, right? So, there's my example. The Beast Lord, for example, he loses 2 wounds because he decides to ride a Mana Core all of a sudden. Or does the Mana Core loses 3 wounds because a Beast Lord decides to ride him instead? So because of that, it doesn't really jive out too well for me, in my opinion. It doesn't really work out. The mechanic there is kind of hinky as far as I'm concerned. So the easiest way to do this would be to combine the wounds, really. You have the Beast Lord running a Mana Core, right? So you have those 2 characters running it out that have 7 wounds total. And because you take the highest toughness amongst both parts, you take the highest toughness, in which case this would be a toughness of 5. The Rider makes their own individual attacks, the Monster makes their individual attacks, and then they combine when it comes to their saves. So that's the only way I could think you could really do it if you didn't want to do what Games Workshop did. Because alternatively, what Games Workshop used to do, you used to divide the wounds between the 2 characters, the character and the monster, and you roll to see where the wounds go when it comes to shooting as well as in close combat as well. And then, like, if the rider died, the monster had a reaction table that they had to respond to, and the monster did its own actions. Or vice versa, if the monster died, the character would be dismounted and they have to fight on foot. If you're not going to do it that way, the only other way I can think of it is like what I talked about before, where you kind of do what Age of Sigmar does in terms of combining the wounds and then sharing the saves and making the individual attacks, because otherwise it's like I said, it's just too easy to kill characters on monsters, and then the question then becomes why take them, at that point. So that was like the main reason why I think I won this battle, is because my buddy Lady Domina, she had a lot of characters on monsters, and they're pretty easy to kill if you think about it. And so I think that's the only reason why I really won that one. But anyways, continue on the rest of the battle report. First of all, spears are exceptionally deadly in the 9th Age. I forgot how deadly those things really are. You get armor piercing 1 as well as fight an extra rank if you charge a unit equipped with spears. So that was absolutely deadly as well. And the combination that she had with the Dread Legionaries equipped with the Ring of Shadows for the Wizard, as well as the Barnet Manor Dark Echoes, was really, really bad. These are the kind of things that Tower Guard should have been, in my opinion, when it came to the Dread Elves. These guys are exceptionally deadly. You got -1 to hit against them. They get +1 to wound, re-rolling their wounds for 1s if they roll those. So all I need to do now is become some way to become stubborn or immune to psychology, and you'll never defeat that unit. So that part was pretty bad as well. Also, her ability of her Master Wizard, the Book of Arcane Power, it actually equals Magic Phase Domination, in my opinion, because she gets pretty much a 3-up on all of her magic rolls, which is pretty good at that part. I have the Banner of Recall Me, which gives me a +2 for Dispels, but I was just rolling bad on that part. My dice kind of forsook me in this game, and so the dice guys have abandoned me all along, so that part was kind of rough as well. Another thing we forgot to do during this battle report was to fight the battle between the White Lions, the Hydra, and the Kraken. This is what happens when you play late at night, and you kind of party first before you decide to go play a game. And so we weren't exactly all there when we did this battle report. But at the same time, though, that fight between the monsters and my Lion Guards could have potentially changed the game. I mean, those monsters could have folded that flank, killed my Lion Guards, and she could have swept across my main lines and won the battle on that part. So yeah, and like I said before, the only reason why I think I won this battle, in my opinion, is due to the characters running monsters rules. I might house rule this for my gaming group because of the freeze that's going on for such a long period of time. And don't get me wrong, I love the freeze because it gives us some time to learn the games and to actually learn the rules. So I'm all for the freeze. However, until they address this, I think I just might house rule with my gaming group where we combine the wounds and then they share the saves, they do individual attacks, that kind of thing, because it doesn't seem to work out for us too well. So that's what we're probably gonna do for that one. As always, this was a great game. It was a great opponent. I love playing against Lay Down with their dark elves. She always does a really great job with that part. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of afraid to take her on the rematch because if we decide to do that with the house rules for our monsters, that army is gonna be exceptionally dangerous. But what's life without challenges? As always, please feel free to like, comment, or subscribe. Also, you can check out the Instagram account that I have linked in my description below. That way you can stay up to date with all the hobby materials that we're working on for my channel. As always, you guys, thank you again for all the viewerships. Thank you for the subscriptions. Thank you for the comments. You guys are making these battle reports better, and you're the reason why I keep doing it. So you guys stay classy. We'll see you guys on the next one.